Have you ever gone to bed thinking, "I'll deal with my health tomorrow," believing that sleep is the safest place you can be? What if I told you that for thousands of people, tomorrow never comes? A man who looked perfectly healthy kissed his wife goodnight, climbed into bed, closed his eyes, and never woke up. There were no screams, no warning, no second chance. His heart simply stopped. The heartbreaking truth is that many of these tragedies are not random. They are often the result of habits repeated night after night, habits people believe are harmless. Today, I want to share the dangerous mistakes that can silently increase your risk of heart attacks and strokes while you sleep. If you're over 50, or if someone you love is, this information could be life-changing. One of the most common mistakes people make is eating a large meal and then heading straight to bed. It feels harmless. In fact, for many families, it's part of a daily routine. Dinner gets pushed later because of work, family responsibilities, or simply because that's when everyone is finally together. After a full plate of food, you feel relaxed, maybe even sleepy. You think, "I'm tired, I'll just go to bed." It seems like the natural thing to do, but your body sees the situation very differently. The moment you finish a heavy meal, your digestive system gets to work. Your stomach begins breaking down the food, your intestines absorb nutrients, and your body directs more blood toward the digestive tract to support this process. Digestion is not a passive event. It requires energy. It requires circulation. It requires your heart to keep pumping efficiently while several organs work overtime. Now imagine asking your body to do all of that while it's also trying to prepare for sleep. Instead of gradually slowing down and entering a restorative state, your system remains busy, your stomach stays active, your metabolism remains elevated, and your heart continues working harder than it would if digestion had already finished. While one heavy meal alone is unlikely to cause a heart attack in a healthy person, making this a nightly habit can place unnecessary strain on your cardiovascular system, especially if you already have risk factors such as high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, or existing heart disease. Many people don't realize that sleep is supposed to be a period of recovery. During healthy sleep, your heart rate naturally slows, your blood pressure typically drops, and your body begins repairing tissues and restoring balance. This nightly recovery is one of the reasons good sleep is so important for heart health. But when your digestive system is still working hard because of a late, oversized meal, that recovery may not happen as efficiently. Think of it this way. If your car engine has been running at high speed, you wouldn't immediately shut it off after flooring the accelerator for hours. Your body also benefits from a gradual transition. Giving yourself time between dinner and bedtime allows digestion to progress before your body shifts into its overnight repair mode. There's another problem many people experience but rarely connect to late-night eating: acid reflux. Have you ever noticed a burning feeling in your chest after lying down? Maybe you wake up with a sour taste in your mouth or an irritated throat. That's because lying flat makes it easier for stomach acid to move upward into the esophagus, especially after a large or fatty meal. For some people, acid reflux is simply uncomfortable, but for others, it repeatedly interrupts sleep without them even realizing it. Tiny awakenings throughout the night may leave you exhausted the next morning. Poor sleep itself has been linked to higher blood pressure, increased inflammation, and a greater long-term risk of cardiovascular disease. Even more concerning, severe heartburn can sometimes feel surprisingly similar to heart-related chest discomfort. This confusion can delay someone from seeking emergency medical care when they actually need it. That's why persistent or unusual chest pain should never be dismissed as just indigestion. Portion size also matters. It's not only what you eat, it's how much. Many evening meals contain large portions of fried foods, creamy sauces, processed meats, sugary desserts, and salty snacks. These foods can cause rapid spikes in blood sugar and require your body to release more insulin. High sodium intake may contribute to fluid retention and elevated blood pressure, while excess saturated fats can become part of a long-term pattern that affects cholesterol levels. Again, this isn't about one special holiday dinner or an occasional celebration. Life should include moments of enjoyment. The concern is the repeated nightly habit of overeating and immediately going to sleep. Over months and years, small daily choices often have a much greater impact than rare events. I've met people who believed they were doing everything right. They didn't smoke. They tried to stay active. Yet every evening they ate their largest meal just before bed because that was the only time they felt they could relax. They weren't trying to harm themselves. They simply didn't understand how those routines could affect their sleep quality, weight, blood sugar, and overall heart health. Fortunately, this is one habit that is often easier to change than people expect. You don't need to starve yourself. You don't need an expensive diet. You simply need to give your body enough time to do one job before asking it to do another. Try eating dinner at least 2 to 3 hours before going to bed whenever possible. If your schedule doesn't allow that every day, do your best most days of the week. Progress is more important than perfection. If you become hungry later in the evening, choose something light rather than another full meal. A small balanced snack is generally less demanding on your digestive system than a second large dinner. Eating slowly instead of rushing through your meal can also help you recognize when you're comfortably full instead of overly stuffed. Pay attention to how your body responds. You may notice you sleep more soundly. You may wake feeling more refreshed. You might experience less heartburn, less bloating, and fewer restless nights. Over time, those small improvements can support healthier blood pressure, better weight management, and improved overall well-being. The goal isn't fear. The goal is awareness. Your heart works continuously, every minute of every day, asking for very little in return. Giving it a chance to slow down at night instead of forcing it to support heavy digestion is one simple way to show it the care it deserves. Sometimes the smallest changes in an evening routine become the biggest investments in tomorrow's health. There is another silent danger that has taken far too many lives, not because people didn't care about their health, but because they didn't know anything was wrong. Unlike many illnesses that announce themselves with pain or obvious symptoms, this one often stays completely hidden. You can wake up feeling fine, go to work, spend time with your family, laugh with friends, and never suspect that your heart and blood vessels are under constant strain. That is why high blood pressure has earned the nickname the silent killer. Many people assume that if they feel healthy, they must be healthy. It's an understandable belief. After all, our bodies usually let us know when something is wrong. A toothache hurts. A broken bone is impossible to ignore. Even the common cold makes its presence known. But high blood pressure often behaves differently. It can quietly damage your arteries, your heart, your kidneys, and even your brain for years before it ever causes noticeable symptoms. By the time some people discover they have high blood pressure, the damage has already been done. One of the greatest misunderstandings is believing that blood pressure only matters during the daytime. People imagine that once they climb into bed and fall asleep, their body simply shuts down and rests until morning. But your heart never takes a night off. Every second that you are asleep, it continues pumping blood throughout your body, delivering oxygen and nutrients to every organ that keeps you alive. During a healthy night's sleep, something remarkable usually happens. Your heart rate slows down, your breathing becomes calmer, and your blood pressure naturally decreases. Doctors often refer to this as the normal nighttime dip. It's part of your body's recovery process. Those quieter hours give your heart and blood vessels a chance to recover from the demands of the day. The problem begins when that normal drop in blood pressure doesn't happen. For some individuals, blood pressure stays elevated all night long. Others may even experience dangerous spikes while they sleep. That means the heart continues working harder when it should be resting. The blood vessels remain under pressure hour after hour, night after night, year after year. Imagine bending a paperclip once. Nothing happens. Bend it back and forth hundreds of times, and eventually it weakens and breaks. Blood vessels respond in a similar way to years of excessive pressure. The constant force can damage their delicate inner lining, making them less flexible and more vulnerable to plaque buildup. Over time, Arteries become narrower and stiffer, forcing the heart to work even harder just to push blood where it needs to go. That creates a dangerous cycle. The harder the heart has to pump, the more strain it experiences. The more damage the blood vessels sustain, the greater the chance that one day a clot forms or an artery becomes blocked. If blood flow to part of the heart is interrupted, the result may be a heart attack. If blood flow to part of the brain is blocked, or if a weakened blood vessel bursts, the result may be a stroke. These events rarely happen without years of silent changes taking place first. What makes this especially heartbreaking is how many people never know they're at risk because they simply don't check their blood pressure. Some people say, "I don't have headaches, so my blood pressure must be normal." Others believe, "I feel strong, so I don't need to worry." Unfortunately, blood pressure cannot be judged by how you feel. You can feel perfectly normal while your arteries are being damaged every single day. Age also plays an important role. As we grow older, our blood vessels naturally become less elastic. That doesn't mean heart disease is inevitable, but it does mean regular monitoring becomes even more important. The earlier high blood pressure is discovered, the sooner steps can be taken to reduce the risk of serious complications. Lifestyle choices make a tremendous difference as well. Eating excessive amounts of salt can contribute to elevated blood pressure in many people. Carrying excess body weight forces the heart to work harder. Lack of physical activity weakens the cardiovascular system over time. Smoking damages blood vessels, while chronic stress keeps the body's stress hormones elevated, making it more difficult for blood pressure to return to healthy levels. These factors often build on one another. Someone who sleeps poorly may become more stressed. Increased stress may encourage unhealthy eating. Weight begins to rise, physical activity decreases, and blood pressure gradually climbs. None of it happens overnight. It develops quietly through small habits repeated over months and years. The encouraging news is that those same small habits can work in your favor. Regular movement, even something as simple as a daily walk, helps strengthen the heart. Choosing meals rich in vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and lean protein supports healthier blood vessels. Reducing excess sodium, limiting highly processed foods, managing stress, maintaining a healthy weight, and getting consistent sleep all contribute to healthier blood pressure over time. But lifestyle changes are only one part of the picture. For many people, medication becomes an essential tool. This is where another dangerous misconception appears. Some individuals begin taking blood pressure medication, notice that their numbers improve, and then decide they no longer need it. They think, "My blood pressure is normal now, so I can stop." In reality, the medication may be the very reason those numbers improved in the first place. Stopping treatment without medical guidance can allow blood pressure to rise again, sometimes very quickly. In certain cases, it may even increase the risk of serious cardiovascular events. Any changes to prescribed medication should always be discussed with a healthcare professional who understands your individual situation. It's also important to monitor your blood pressure consistently, rather than relying on a single reading. Blood pressure naturally changes throughout the day depending on activity, stress, hydration, and other factors. Looking at long-term patterns provides a much clearer picture than focusing on one isolated measurement. Perhaps the most powerful thing you can do is stop assuming and start knowing. Know your numbers, know your risk factors, know your family history, know when something doesn't feel right. Most importantly, never mistake the absence of symptoms for the absence of danger. Your heart may stay silent for years before asking for help, but when it finally does, the consequences can be sudden and devastating. A few minutes spent checking your blood pressure today could prevent a lifetime of regret tomorrow. There is another nighttime danger that many people never think about because it happens while they are completely unconscious. You cannot feel it developing, and you may have no memory of it happening by morning. Yet night after night, it can place tremendous stress on your heart without you realizing it. I'm talking about the way you sleep, and more importantly, whether your body is actually getting enough oxygen while you sleep. Most people assume that once they fall asleep, their body automatically enters a state of complete rest. We picture sleep as a time when everything slows down, heals, and recovers. And under healthy conditions, that's exactly what should happen. Your heart rate becomes steadier, your breathing becomes more regular, your muscles relax, and your body begins the important work of repair. But for millions of people, sleep is anything but peaceful beneath the surface. One of the biggest reasons is interrupted breathing during the night. Have you ever been told that you snore loudly? Maybe your spouse nudges you because your snoring keeps them awake. Perhaps someone has noticed that you suddenly stop breathing for several seconds before gasping or choking and then starting to breathe again. Many people laugh these moments off. They joke about their snoring or blame it on being tired. But loud, persistent snoring combined with pauses in breathing should never be ignored. When your airway repeatedly becomes blocked during sleep, your oxygen levels can drop. Your brain senses that something is wrong and briefly wakes your body just enough to restart your breathing. Most people never remember these tiny awakenings because they happen so quickly. Yet they can occur dozens or even hundreds of times throughout a single night. Imagine trying to recharge your phone, but someone keeps unplugging it every few minutes. It may stay connected to the charger all night, but by morning the battery is still low because the charging process was constantly interrupted. Your body experiences something very similar. Instead of enjoying long periods of deep, restorative sleep, your brain is repeatedly forced into emergency mode just to keep you breathing. Your sleep becomes fragmented, even if you never fully wake up. The consequences extend far beyond feeling tired. Each time oxygen levels fall, your body responds by releasing stress hormones. Your heart beats faster, blood vessels tighten, blood pressure rises, then breathing resumes, oxygen improves, and the cycle repeats itself again and again throughout the night. Now imagine that happening every night for years. Your heart never receives the peaceful recovery period it desperately needs. Instead of resting, it is repeatedly being jolted into action, almost like someone ringing a fire alarm over and over while you're trying to sleep. Over time, this constant stress can contribute to persistent high blood pressure, irregular heart rhythms, enlargement of the heart, and an increased risk of heart attacks and strokes. The danger isn't one isolated night of poor sleep. It's the repeated pattern that slowly wears the cardiovascular system down. Many people have no idea this is happening because the symptoms during the day seem unrelated. They wake up exhausted despite spending 8 or 9 hours in bed. They struggle to concentrate. They feel unusually sleepy while reading, watching television, or sitting quietly. Some even fall asleep during conversations or while driving. Others wake with morning headaches or a dry mouth because they've been breathing through their mouth all night. These signs are often blamed on getting older, having a stressful job, or simply not sleeping enough. But sometimes the problem isn't the number of hours spent in bed, it's the quality of the sleep taking place. Body position can also influence nighttime breathing. For some individuals, sleeping flat on their back allows the tongue and soft tissues in the throat to fall backward, making it easier for the airway to narrow or collapse. This doesn't mean everyone should avoid sleeping on their back, but for people who already struggle with snoring or breathing interruptions, changing sleeping position may sometimes reduce symptoms. Some find that sleeping on their side helps keep the airway more open. Others may benefit from elevating the head of the bed slightly if they experience reflux or certain breathing difficulties. The important point is that there is no single sleeping position that is perfect for everyone. Your health conditions, body structure, and medical history all matter. That's why persistent snoring, choking during sleep, or unexplained daytime fatigue deserve proper medical evaluation rather than guesswork. Weight also plays an important role. Extra tissue around the neck and upper airway can make it easier for the airway to narrow during sleep. This is one reason excess body weight increases the likelihood of obstructive sleep apnea. Even modest weight loss, when appropriate, can sometimes improve breathing during sleep and reduce stress on the heart. Alcohol deserves attention here as well. Many people enjoy a drink in the evening because they believe it helps them relax. While alcohol may make you feel sleepy, it also relaxes the muscles in the throat. For people who already have narrowing of the airway, this relaxation can make nighttime breathing interruptions even worse. Certain sedative medications may have similar effects in some individuals. That doesn't mean prescribed medications should be stopped without medical advice, but it does mean discussing concerns with your healthcare provider if nighttime breathing problems are suspected. Family members are often the first to notice something is wrong. A spouse may describe loud snoring followed by complete silence, then a sudden gasp as breathing restarts. Children sometimes become frightened after hearing a parent struggle for breath during sleep. These observations are incredibly valuable because the person experiencing the problem usually remains unaware. If someone who loves you expresses concern about your breathing during sleep, don't dismiss it. They're not trying to criticize your snoring. They may be noticing warning signs that could protect your heart and even save your life. The good news is that breathing-related sleep disorders can often be diagnosed and treated. Identifying the problem allows healthcare professionals to recommend appropriate strategies based on the underlying cause. For some people, simple lifestyle changes help. Others may require additional evaluation or specialized treatment to keep their airway open during sleep. The most important step is recognizing that persistent symptoms deserve attention. Never assume that waking up exhausted every morning is simply part of getting older. Never assume that loud snoring is just an annoying habit. Never assume that spending enough hours in bed automatically means your body is getting the restorative sleep it needs. Healthy sleep is measured not only by how long you sleep, but also by how well your body breathes, recovers, and restores itself throughout the night. When your breathing is protected, your heart has the opportunity to do what it was designed to do during sleep: slow down, recover, and prepare you for another day. Don't ignore the warning signs your nights may be trying to reveal. No one expects to go to sleep for the last time. Most people believe tragedy only happens to someone else until it happens in their own family. The encouraging news is that many nighttime heart attacks and strokes are linked to risk factors we can reduce. Small changes made consistently can protect your heart for years to come. Take your symptoms seriously. Keep your medical appointments, eat wisely, stay active, sleep well, manage stress, and never ignore the signals your body is sending you. Your family doesn't just need you alive. They need you healthy enough to enjoy the moments that matter most. Tonight, before you turn off the lights, remember this. One good decision today may be the reason you wake up tomorrow. Your heart works for you every second of every day. Make sure you're doing everything you can to protect it.